Hey, this is Staying Sober with Kevin Gillespie. I just want to talk a little bit about getting sober and what it really takes, and really about times where it's very difficult. I first got sober a little over 5 months ago. I didn't do it by going to AA, which I actually just started up going to that. I didn't do it by leaning on anybody. I just kind of surrounded myself with the people that I wanted to surround myself with. This meant cutting out people in my life that were bad influences, and people that weren't successful in what they were doing. And just, I didn't focus on people's sobriety because, that's not my prerogative and that's not their choice. But I focused on people that I wanted to be like, whether they were sober or not. So I focused on finding successful people to surround myself with. And, this is going to be more of a rant style, single point of view podcast, but getting sober I don't want to say it, it's not that difficult. Difficulty comes with staying sober. There are moments where I'm weak, where I really wish I could have a drink. My dog died at the end of December. She was a very integral part of my family. I've had her for 11 years. And, my son, my 3-year-old, was in love with the dog. My wife was in love with the dog. And, she was, like I said, she was an integral part of the family. Losing an animal, in the past, or, even losing a friend, losing at anything was a trigger for me to go drink. Having a bad day at work was a trigger to go drink. Like the smallest little thing. So, it wasn't about just sad shit either. I woke up today. Let's celebrate by having a case of beer. And, it took me like 15 years to figure out that, why celebrate something that isn't depressing with a depressant. There's no reason to make it a month sober and then be like, oh, well, fuck it, I'm going to go have a drink to celebrate being sober. I think that all the times that I've tried to get sober in the past, failed, because at the end of my trial period, I'd make it like 70 days and be like, I'm the type of person, I made a decision in my head at the time, I now know that this isn't how it works, but at the time I'd be like, I'm the type of person that can just have 1 or 2 drinks and I can cut it off there. And then, I'd go out, I'd have a drink, and I'd come home, and I'd be like, all right, great job. And then I'd make a decision the next night to go back out, and then it'd be more drinks. And then, by the time the second or third weekend rolled around, I'd be having, 10 drinks at the bar, and then I'd come home and polish off a case of beer. If there's anybody that can relate, please reach out to me. But, this time was all about realizing that I'm not going to get any further in my life than I am right now, or I was 5 months ago, by adding alcohol to it. Alcohol isn't a fire starter for greatness. It's a fire starter for bad shit. And anyone that's even feeling remotely like alcohol is a problem for them, then you may not be the type of person to just go out and have a drink or 2 and come home. It took me a long time to realize that. And, getting to that point, it took a lot of sacrifice, but like unnecessary sacrifice. I sacrificed a home life. I have a memory, and I'm sure my wife can attest to this, and she has the same memory. My son was 3 months old, 4 months old maybe, and I was getting hammered on Pabst Blue Ribbon. That was one of my favorite beers, and I was just getting drunk by myself at the house. She wasn't drinking. Nobody was drinking. It was just me drinking by myself. And it was time to put the baby down to sleep or change the diaper. I can't remember what it was. We went to change his diaper, and I set my beer down like a good father that I was. I set my beer down, and he peed in my beer from where he was laying. And at the time, it was hilarious. I was really slapping my legs, laughing about how funny it was that drunk dad was there to change the baby's diaper and the baby peed in his beer. Well, I reflect back on that now, and that story doesn't seem all that funny. It seems like a moment of total weakness. It seems like a moment of a lack of control. Why in the world would I be giving my son an example of me getting hammered and changing him? I'm not that person anymore. So right now, 5 months into this, I'm going through a transition. I see this as an opportunity to get to know myself, to get to know my family, and to provide an example for everybody that you don't have to go to the party and get hammered. I just went on vacation to Virginia to meet with my best friend and his family, and he drinks. And there was a day or two, and there was a moment during that day or two where I was feeling triggered, having those feelings of more of a memory of, this is what we used to do together. We used to get drunk together. So, I might as well have a beer. And but why? I had to back it out. What was the purpose of me having a beer? Was it to fit in? I'm 31 years old. I don't give a fuck about fitting in anymore. I may, some of these people listening, some of you may be thinking, well, I'm 21 and, that's what everybody's doing. Well, do you want to be like everybody, or do you want to be somebody? And I know there's successful people out there that drink. That's not what this is about. This is about a personal decision to not drink. I can be better by not drinking. And I know that for a fact, because over the last 5.5 months or so, I've proven that if I don't have the alcohol in the way, if there's no beers in my way, then I'm operating at 100% all the time. And my capacity used to be low. I used to be a low person. And it feels good to be free from it. And even though I didn't realize it at the time, and I thought, I don't have a problem. Now that I've been sober, it's about staying sober. So if you feel like you want to get sober, but every time you do, there's a point of failure, and you simply go back to it, then you just need to look at it as a challenge. And that's my challenge to you is, can you be sober? Can you stay sober? Can you even get sober? If you can't get sober, then maybe it's time to reach out to somebody and have a conversation. I'm here. I'll talk to anybody about it. And, I've noticed that the more I talk about it, the easier it gets, because it's just like when you first mention it to somebody, even like an old-time friend especially, if you mention it to them and they're like, oh, well, why can't you just have a drink? You need some self-control. It's like, well, my self-control is having no drinks. And some people can't understand that, but there's no way to convince everyone that what you're doing is the right thing. I'm convinced that it's the right thing for me, and it's the right thing for my family. So I'm going to dedicate time every day and post something every day, 5-10 minutes, about being sober and staying sober, and how I got sober and the decisions I had to make to get sober. Like I said, there's moments of weakness. There's times when I've had a tough day when I want to go home and drink, or if I go meet up with, I don't go out that often anymore, but if I meet up with somebody and they're having a beer with dinner, having a beer with dinner is the quintessential adult thing to do, or having a glass of wine with dinner is like, I'm celebrating, or I'm drowning my problems. I have to face my fears every single day and face my failures every day sober, take a good hard look at myself, and I wouldn't have been able to do that without a reflection upon myself. So my homework to you after you listen to this is to take a good look at yourself and find the purpose to get sober, and then we can focus on staying sober. Like I said, I want anybody that's listening to this that's struggling to please reach out. Don't consider it a cry for help. Consider it just knocking on the door of a friend and asking for a favor. I've reached out to people and they've given back to me, so I implore you to do the same. And if you have any issues, questions, concerns, comments, questions especially, or where to even start, please reach out. Thank you.